Hello, welcome to another episode of the G.I. Joe New News Review. I am David Allen. Today, it is my great pleasure to talk with the director of The Crimson Archer fan film, Pierre Doanetto. Hello, Pierre. How are you?
How you doing? And all the G.I. Joe fans out there in your audience.
I'm doing pretty good. How are you doing?
It's okay. I mean, my grandmother just passed away over the weekend, so I've been kind of dealing with that. But
Sorry
it's
about
okay.
that.
It's okay. Everything's kind of settled. So right now, I just kind of taking things a little easy, trying to get things wrapped up with the Crimson Archer, showcasing it digitally. We're trying to get out the film circuit right now, and right now it's exclusively for them at this time, and I really want everybody to see this, so I'm just trying to push ahead on this stuff for you guys.
So I have some good news for you since we're here to talk about the Crimson Archer. I have reached out to the head of Joe Fest, the premier G.I. Joe convention in the United States, Ed Schumacher, and he has extended an invitation to you and the Crimson Archer to premiere at Joe Fest if you would like.
That's fantastic. Very excited. I know I talked to Ed a while back about that. I know there were a lot of crazy things happening in his events, getting things scheduled and stuff. And, fortunately, this film is a full-length film, about an hour and a half. So it's kind of hard to fit that in any type of scheduling. But I'm glad that Ed and Joe Con is ready for this film.
Joe Fest, and so we will have to talk about the details and logistics and things like that down as we get ready for Joe Fest. We got 6 more months, so I think we can do that. I will get you in touch with him, and we will get all that worked out.
Sounds
I
great.
look forward to that. I think it's going to be great. And he has invited me to do a kind of a panel with you at the premiere, so I could talk to you before it and then after it, and we could discuss after the film is viewed.
That's fantastic. Yeah, it sounds great. I can't wait.
Great. I'm very happy for that. I think it's going to be cool. There's no place better to premiere a G.I. Joe fan film than Joe Fest. So that's excellent. So
It's not an ordinary fan film that most people see online and stuff. This was kind of done in a very bigger level, I guess you would say, higher production value.
I've seen the trailer, and I've seen a few different things that you've shared with me over the last couple months, and I agree with you. I think the production values for what you could accomplish are great, and
especially being a fan film, because you're limited to what you can do.
Right, so let's get into this. Let's deep dive into the Crimson Archer. First, let's go into a little bit of your past. So you have been a longtime G.I. Joe fan, as far as I'm aware, and what I've learned about you. You're a toy collector. You read the comics. You were one of us. You were one of the community, the G.I. Joe fan community in the 80s. You were a child growing up, and you liked G.I. Joe.
Oh, it's my favorite. From Transformers to Thundercats and He-Man, G.I. Joe was by far my favorite line of toys and comics and all the stuff that went in the 80s. That's why I did this.
Well, and that leads me to this question is, what was it about G.I. Joe during the 80s? Because it existed in the 60s and 70s, but it was reimagined in 1982 by Hasbro and a new team of people, Kurt Busiek, Ron Rudat, Larry Hama, and them. And it was introduced to a whole new audience, and it was hugely successful. But what personally was it about the G.I. Joe brand in the 80s that grabbed you?
The biggest thing about during the 80s G.I. Joe, especially with the Real American Hero version of it, it grabbed me by, it showed a lot of diversity as far as for all the character layouts they've had for both the Joes and the Cobra side. The colors, everything's very vibrant. You know, it showed patriotism during that time for our love of our country. You know, with the PSAs after the cartoons, you know, teaching kids to be safe and stuff like that, which you don't really see a whole lot anymore these days. So back then, it taught us a lot growing up to that. To, you know, like I said, don't talk to strangers or don't pick up a live wire on the ground. And with the characters itself in the cartoons, the humor was great because as a kid, you know, that stuff would be funny to us as a kid growing up. If you played the toys and stuff like that too, you know, you probably reenact it too, like some of the cartoons or maybe some of the comics you've read. It's just a lot of different, like the, you know, Snake Eyes, when they brought the original 13 Joes into the picture. He showed, you know, Scarlet with like a black character with Snake Eyes. It was an all black costume. It was very unique. You didn't see that in the whole previous G.I. Joe lines before. But that really stood out, especially with the Snake Eyes character, adding a woman with Scarlet in there too as well, to be recognized in the part of the 13 originals. But that really stood out a lot as a kid. And I like the evolution that went with that during the 80s as well, when you brought in more characters that you know, that people enjoyed, especially on the Cobra side. You know, you had fans from the G.I. Joe and the Cobra side, because both sides had very uniqueness, very humorous characters. Even the costumes or their setup was looking cool and everything like that.
Oh, that's cool. So you're really a true fan of G.I. Joe. So you're coming at this project because you love this brand and you love these characters, right?
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
So what was it that was the impetus of this film? I've heard you speak about this. I know you weren't too happy about the previous films that Hasbro and Paramount had presented, and you thought that there needed to be a little bit better respect for this brand. And is that really where it comes from?
That's where it comes from. You know, I've heard from many fans out there, even myself as a fan, watching some of the Hollywood cuts they've made with Hasbro. You know, it changed a lot of what we grew up to. And I get it. They're trying to market to a younger generation that can catch on to the product and stuff like that. But they're forgetting about us that made them popular, that grew up to their stuff. So when you take that away, no one's not going to watch it or buy your stuff. So, as a filmmaker, I wanted something special for myself as a fan of, a big fan of G.I. Joe, and I wanted to do things right for the fans. If you're really into the cartoons like I was back in the 80s, the Sunbow cartoons back then, this movie really, really reflects on that, with elements from the comics. Because I did talk to Larry Hama a while back about the movie and stuff like that. Him and I met together when he was here in Iowa, and we talked about certain, all the characters, the uniqueness of each individual characters and stuff like that, and the storyline of the team, of the team itself. And I met Ron Rudan as well when he came here as well, and great guy. I met his son. His son's a great guy too, Tristan. So there's been talks of a sequel, but we don't know yet at this time. Things could change down the road, which this whole project was kind of like that. It's kind of, things are always changing. So, but I'm just trying to deliver a good product for everybody. And all fans like me, a good product you guys can, be appreciative.
So you really respect the fans, you respect this brand, you respect this community, and you wanted to put forth a product that we could all love and enjoy and be proud of.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we had the movie in the screenings here locally in my home state, and I would stand there outside the theater, and they would come out and shake my hand because they have not been, they weren't like big time like comic book readers of G.I. Joe, but they might have collected all the toys, action figures, or watched all the cartoons, and they appreciated me giving that nostalgic throwback to them as a child again, and that's my whole intention of the film. You know, I'm a fan too. So, I mean, if I wasn't making it, I'd be like, this is a cool film. So,
Well, that's awesome. So let's get into a little bit of your background. How did you get into filmmaking, and what is your background a little bit?
well, you know, I work in civil engineering and land surveying. I stumbled upon filmmaking by accident, fortunately. I got into a cosplay called, you know, Snake Eyes. I won a contest, and I never really done cosplay before. And my brother would tell me, "Oh, dude, you're going to win for sure, man. Nobody's not going to have a Snake Eyes here at this place." I was like, "Okay." So I dressed up as Snake Eyes, and I won. And I got to meet when I was there, my first Comic-Con I ever been in my whole life, and as Snake Eyes. I got to meet a lot of the celebrities out there, and they were looking at my setup, and they kept asking me questions. You know, like you know, if I knew anything about GI Joe, you know, fan films out there. I was like, no, no, no. And then he directed me to a guy named Mark Chang, I believe, who made Operation Red Retrieval a while back before I started, and dove into that. So I did a lot of research and talked to my state office about the filmmaking and stuff like that. So they made me shadow a person, and I got to learn filmmaking, and then I dove into this.
Wow. So you had no experience before you got into this, huh?
No.
Wow. Considering the quality of it, you did a really good job. You're either a very fast learner or you're very, very smart. One of the two, or both.
Yeah, a little both. People say I'm very multi-talented. I'm a quick learner. I mean, overall, the film took a long time, so I pretty much had all my education in filmmaking right there with the project, the film. So, I mean, it's not bad.
It's been a little under 10 years now, since it was 2016 when you started. It's 2025 now. So it's almost been 10 years since the beginning of this project. Am I wrong?
Right. Well, we've had a lot of problems. Again, keep in mind it's a fan film, so you're not getting like the the proper funding you need for a budget from the corporates or anything like that. You're not allowed to make profit and such, yada yada yada. So it was a little trickier, but I stuck to it. I have a lot of passion and drive, so I don't give up too easily. We finished the film in 19, right before the pandemic started. Everything was in the can. We're getting ready to go to post-production, edit this thing, and the pandemic happened. Which is okay. I'm just glad we got everything recorded and filmed in the can before that happened. But it took a little bit to edit through the films. We had to have, Zoom call meetings with the editors and stuff like that for the film. And I was really trying to push it out the door as fast as I can during the time of the pandemic. So it didn't get into our red carpet theater run, I think, in 22. So, and now after that, it's been on a film festival circuit, and it's gone internationally right now. It's being judged from my peers and everything. So when it comes back here at home, it shows you guys this fan film was actually a pretty good film out there. So it went to England. It went to Tokyo. It's on in Moldova. We were semifinalists over there. And then now it's on its way to Germany and back to England and Spain again. The UK folks really love our film, so they don't mind watching it again.
Seems like they enjoyed it from what I saw of the video.
Oh yeah,
you shared. You touched on a point that I want to discuss, and this is a non-profit project. People may not realize, because obviously these are properties and IPs that are owned by Hasbro. Can you go into a little bit of that process and why it had to be this way? Because people are going to ask questions, and it's better coming from you.
Again, it's a very difficult project. A lot of producers would tell me I'm either insane or crazy or balls of just because no one would in their right mind would spend this amount of time and money on a fan film. My point is that I'm a fan of G.I. Joe, big fan of G.I. Joe. Okay. And a whole lot of people didn't know who I was until I made this film. So you got to start from somewhere. And knowing the fact that G.I. Joe was a big favorite of mine, it was easier for me to make a movie because I'm such a big fan of it. So I'm really knowing the characters. I helped with the writer. His name was Eric Bench. He was one of my writers in the film, and we sat down a lot and talked about all the characters in the film, who we wanted to bring in the movie. Again, it's not knowing filmmaking, but the process was a little smoother because I got a little help from the state office, shadowing certain people, get to knowing the process and everything like that. But again, the point of the movie was just bring this G.I. Joe back that we loved the most, and that's why I did it. Again, nonprofit. It's nonprofits. You can't make anything. So even if we made money at box office sales, I would donate it all to nonprofit organizations, like the fire department or Combat Hunger and such, Toys for Tots, stuff like that. So I know I'm not supposed to make anything, but I'm just doing good for all of us. And I know in the G.I. Joe world, it'd be the right thing to do.
Yeah, definitely. There's I think vets, canine vets as well that you can donate. That's a big, huge part of a lot of the finest in cosplay
Oh,
involvement in those
absolutely. We
projects.
can donate to them. They reach out to us. We'll reach out to them, and we'll figure something out together. And
So what was Hasbro's reaction to this?
I'm not going to say too much about that at this time. A lot of stuff I have now is under non-disclosure, so I got to be careful how I deliver the message to you guys. So, but right now I'm in the circuit. I'm happy about that. I'm happy when it goes online. I just got to cross my T's, making sure that we don't make money on this thing.
I understand. So what was the inspiration for the story? As far as I know, it kind of jumps off of the Sunbow animated series a little bit after that, and it continues on from there. What was your inspiration for the story? Where did you come up with it?
We wanted to be original when it came to the story. Nothing like a reenactment of before. So it's a little bit fresh. I mean, even our music was original too. We just wanted to make it nostalgic the best we can, giving a little reflection of the 80s times. And I know it's always starts out with Scarlett. Always, most fan films before always have Scarlett doing something. So we brought that back. It just, I don't know, it's hard to say. It's just, we're all just imaginative trying to create a new story out of it, really.
Okay. So how did you pick and choose the characters that you wanted to use? Because G.I. Joe has upwards of 470 characters, and it's growing to this day. There's more being added all the time. How did
Right.
you whittle it down to the cast and the characters that you did use?
We aim towards the most popular characters on statistically, who are the most common, bought toy, most bought comic of, and everything what fans react to the most. I do regret that the only Dreadnought we had in the film was Zartan, and I wish I had a little more. Plus, everything was also based on costuming, if we were able to put it together. On the G.I. Joe side, it was a lot easier, knowing that it's kind of almost like modern day military attire in a sense. So, but the Cobra was very unique in costume. So I got a lot of help from Pit Viper. I don't know if you and your fans know who he is. They made a lot for the cosplayers out there. So I got a lot of help from him, making a lot of the trooper helmets, Cobra Commander outfits, the helmets and everything like that. But everything else was pretty much what we did on our own to make sure it's easier. Scarlet was pretty simple and roadblock and such, but we just try to make it really easy for ourselves cost-wise, knowing that it's a fan film. We don't want to hurt ourselves that bad on the cost.
Ah. So you're trying to work out the financing by reducing costs and things like that to make it easier. Well, that's smart. That's smart business. Did you get a lot of the cosplayers, finest or otherwise, that are GI Joe cosplayers involved in the movie, or their original actors in this? How does that work?
It was a mix. We have one gentleman from the finest. His name is Jeff Furch. He plays the Cobra Commander
Uh-huh.
in the movie. You'll see a glimpse of him. I play Snake Eyes in the movie as well. Um, and then the rest of the people, we had actual real actors from our local playhouse, theatrical stage type actors. So they're very versed on script and such.
Wow. So you had some professional actors in the community that you filmed the movie.
Right.
Wow. So you're from Iowa, you said?
Yes, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa.
Oh.
I live in a
Have we
suburb
met
called Clyde, but overall it's all Des Moines.
have we met Pierre before? Because I've been going to Assembly Required the last 5 years. Have we?
I might have when Ron Rudat. I last time I was there was when Ron Rudat showed up.
Ah,
That's when I was there.
okay. Because Larry was there this past year.
I know I missed that. I met him years before, but it's okay. I missed. I had a lot of things going on behind the scenes, so I couldn't make it to that one this year.
Oh, okay. That's fine. So then we may have been at that same show because I interviewed Ron Rudat at that show that
Oh
day.
yeah, I might have missed you. I might have missed you.
Oh man. So then so you got the state of Iowa to support you on the film?
The state of Iowa Film Office supported me on this. I pitched the idea to them, what we're planning on doing with this film. I have a wide network, so they agreed to work with me on this film. They were impressed after I got it all done. So I delivered what I said I'd do. So
And that's the key, if you can put your word on something, you do what you say you're going to do. That means a lot to a lot of people.
right.
And a lot of the community are doing a lot of fan related projects and stuff. Some people are making books, some people are making toys, some people are making films like yourself. But it all comes down to the your word and completing the project and doing what you say you're going to do.
And
Because
that
a
and
lot of
that's
people say a lot
that's
of
a
stuff, and
right. That's an
sometimes they
important
don't
trait of
follow
mine.
through. Yeah.
And that's a lot of my guys who work for me. They stick with me because I deliver what I say I do. I'm not gonna sugarcoat anything. If I know something I can't do, I'll let you know I can't do it. But but I'm saying, it's when I told the writer when he wrote in something with the GI Joes in these trucks, and I'm like, come on, man, this is GI Joe. I want helicopters. I want legitimate helicopters. Screw these trucks. So and he looked at me, he's like, you can get truck. I mean, you can get helicopters. Well, let me go. Okay, just in case you can't, Pierre, I got the trucks wrote in. I'm like, it's okay. I get them. Don't worry about it. I mean, it took me a little bit to get the choppers. A lot of red tape I had to, get through the government officials about that. But that's also under NDA. I can't talk too much about how I attain those either. But
Well, I think it's fascinating that you actually got military equipment and you were on military bases and stuff like that, because it gives a realism to this that other fan films don't have. It gives a gravitas to it. Like, this isn't they're not fooling around. This is real
this
here.
is real. All that's real. You'll love about this film is I brought you high production sets. We even used the state penitentiary as the
Wow.
Cobra base. We did have minimal security prisoners located there. We had certain rules and everything before entering the prison. So the prison was the Cobra lair, basically, whatever you want to call it. Fun place. It reminds you of season 3 of Walking Dead when they were in the prison.
Yeah.
The place looked kind of like that. So It was kind of weird. It was kind of spooky too at the same time. But yeah, we used the state fairgrounds in the middle of the fair at night. We had press passes, permission from the state to go out there and do that.
Wow.
The state capitol building we've used inside and outside. Again, with the military use of equipment, and the Polk County Conservation, we used the lake. There's a scene where we had to use actual military to dive into the water. So we can't use the actors; they're not properly trained for that. But they are in the water, already in the suits. Pretend as if they were jumping in. But everything was very technical, to get the movie right for everybody. You'll have moments. We have some really cool. It starts a little slow. It starts because we're trying to set the film up to have you guys understand what's going on in the movie. But later on, it starts to pick up and it gets really action packed. Some of our viewers down in the UK said how action packed it was, and I throw in the classic Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes duel,
Wow.
which I know a lot of you fans would expect.
You have to have that.
You got to have that, I threw some other characters. I use them as like cameos in the film. So they're not on the poster or anything like that.
Well, there's like 400 something characters. So you could have a dozen people in the background doing whatever military people do in the background. And you could have your principals in the forefront doing what they got to do.
Right. So we threw as many as we could as a cameo, G.I. Joe or Cobra, whoever. Didn't have very big lines, but they're in there, and we were shocked as how many characters we jammed this movie with, but I have to say there is no Crimson Twins. I just couldn't find two twin actors to play that particularly. And,
well, I'll give you a recommendation. If you ever want to do a sequel to this film, I'm a twin in real life, and I have an identical twin.
Hey,
We're huge G.I. Joe fans growing up as children. The Crimson Twins were our favorite characters, and we did the whole I punch you and you get hurt, and the whole spiel.
Oh, sweet. I love it.
So we did that. So, I don't know what the technological capabilities you have is. You could just film me and just do a split screen and film me on the other side. I can be me and my twin brother.
I mean, yeah, if we were doing like a video call, that would make more sense. But if we need you on set with you again or your twin brother, you'll have to try to do like they did the movie Double Impact with Van Damme. We'll have to cross between you two again, and in the scene. But that's a little trickier to do. But
have stunt doubles.
We could have stunt doubles. Yes, we can stunt doubles. And the film. I just hope that I've been trying so hard to make sure this film gets viewed by all of you. Because with the nature of the film, how big it is, it's very difficult. Because people have to start asking questions, where'd you get the money and all that stuff. So it makes it difficult trying to push this thing out because the level of this type of film. But it's not your ordinary fan film, like I told her, it's like done like a big production film. So it's a little trickier trying to push it out. I have problems with distribution because they can't make money, so they don't want to take my movie. So I'm doing everything on my own, which so far I've been doing okay at.
Well, there are film festivals in the United States that you could go to and stuff like that are geared towards independent filmmakers and stuff like that. That's what I would recommend is try.
Oh yeah, we are trying doing that. Like we have a spot when it comes back to the States this year. There's a place in Chattanooga, Tennessee. It's going to. It's already been to New York, a few places in Iowa, South Dakota, at the SuCon and stuff like that. So it's making its rounds.
There's a place in Florida that's an independent film place, the Athens, that does a lot of that stuff. So,
I'll check into it. Yeah, we'll have our team take a look at all the places we need to send our film to and make sure what category we fall in at. It's all about the category we fall in at. There's a lot of places I'll just take short films, or if you want to do best male actor, or you know, and some don't even take full features.
Wow.
A lot of them don't. So just got to find the right ones for you.
Gotcha. I understand. So you have a lot of homages and little cheeky things that you've stuck in this film that the fans are gonna be combing over, looking for. How is it working on those type of things, and where did you? What was it the thought process on where to put those things and how to put them in there so it wasn't too obvious for the fans?
Well, you look at the scene and you look at it closely, and it'll just come to you. You know, I'm not going to spoil for you guys,
Okay.
but I placed a ton of Easter eggs, and I'll give you a hint. A lot of it has to do with Transformers, but they're all impacted in there. There's a lot of 80s nostalgic type of innuendos that happens in the film that you might recognize.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Is this a
but
period piece?
what's that?
Is it a period piece?
It takes place in the 80s.
Oh, okay. That's the one thing about G.I. Joe. It was always stated by Kurt Busiek and the people that worked that it was always just ahead of the modern military by 5 or 10 years. And there was that always on the edge of technology, always on the edge of science and stuff like that. Does that play a little bit into this?
Yeah, well, it helps a lot with today's technology. And you're looking back towards the 80s, because back in the 80s, wouldn't have anything like this today.
Exactly.
Okay, so that played a key role in replicating the tech you would see in this film. But we tried our best to image it, color grade it to the 80s style, trying to find furniture, trying to find all these things from the 80s. Now it was tough. Trying to replicate the background just to look more 80s. So we'll fix what we can in post, but I prefer to have the actual product on set,
So you had legitimate set dressers and cinematographers and people like that, all the fields that you would need to make a feature film.
Right. And they all knew it's a fan film. I brought in people who had passion in their craft. If you were a cinematographer or a hairdresser, makeup, or you're a prop maker or a sound gaffer, it didn't matter who you were. You really loved what you did, and you belong in this team because we're making something we all love, and we're all having fun doing it. So
Were a lot of them G.I. Joe fans?
some were, like, some of the actors knew. The guy who plays Shipwreck was a big time fan like myself. So, like, I see your background, all the collection. He would have that kind of like the same thing in his house, So and he got pretty excited when he got to play the role of a G.I. Joe character himself. So he was pretty stoked out about that. And he was a real actor. And but not everybody knew it, so they had to do the research. Like the lady Tiffany, for the role Scarlet, she really had to get that voice, that Southern type of accent down for herself. And say, the lady who played the Baroness, she came to auditions dressed like the Baroness. She was in all black,
Wow.
glasses, the long hair, and she came with the Austrian accent, Austrian type German accent, and I was like, she's the one. We'll get her right now. So the Baroness is a very good. Her character in that movie was very key. You fans will love the way she played that character a lot. Major Blood, the guy who played Major Blood. Just fall back to the old cartoons of how Major Blood was. Okay, he plays exactly like it.
He's a British mercenary.
Yeah, he plays exactly like it. It's funny, and now I think he's kind of stuck in that mode in his everyday life.
Oh my God! So you ruined him. You ruined the poor guy. Now he's got to torture people in his real life. Oh no!
He thinks he's really Major Blood. I know his wife, which it's funny. After the movie was over, done filming, the lady who played the Baroness and the guy who played Major Blood, they got married.
Wow.
So, and they're very happy. So I haven't asked how that's like, him playing Major Blood all the time at the house.
Well, that's what GI Joe is all about. It's always about bringing people together, and now you have stories about it. So that's
Well, I think
great.
they were dating, like the early steps of their dating before they jumped into the project.
Uh,
And until the project was over, they just right away got married.
wow, that's funny. Uh,
But yeah, and the guy who played Duke, he left to go to the army.
he did.
He did. He wanted to be. I said, maybe you want to be the real Duke, huh? So,
But that's a big thing, though. There's a lot of real life military people that were inspired by GI Joe that actually went into the military. I
right,
interviewed a gentleman yesterday. It's Chad, who was in the military for 30 years as a medic, and then he went into the front lines. And his wife is also in the military. Met her in the military, and they're huge GI Joe fans. So that's an interesting thing that somebody would be inspired by working on a GI Joe film and then join the armed forces. Wow, that's interesting.
right, right. I mean, a lot of people who came on this project, all these different backgrounds, but they all learned a lot making this movie with me. We were like a big family. We all helped each other, got each other, and whatever paths we were trying to do, and just to complete this film. That's the toughest thing is make a full feature like this with minimal budget, and all you have is a bunch of guys with a bunch of drive and passion to get it done.
Well, sometimes that's enough. I'm a huge film buff, and I've seen a lot of these independent movies and movies that didn't cost a lot of money, but uh, created something incredible, like the Blair Witch Project, for instance.
Right,
That's a phenomenon, and that was barely any budget on that. The Kevin Smith movies, the and stuff like that. No budgets at all on that stuff.
right,
So if there's enough passion, sometimes that's all you need to get a film up. And he did the same thing you did, Kevin Smith. He put it in the independent film market and went to festivals and stuff like that, and it became a huge thing. I met Kevin Smith when he was um, doing Clerks, the very first Clerks at Dragon Con in Atlanta in like
yeah,
1993. And he was just at a table. Here's my movie I made, tell
yeah,
him,
yeah.
and he had a premiere there, the exact same. So, look at Kevin Smith today, huge filmmaker and stuff like that, big person in the genre communities, so don't
I guess I'm on my way. I
discount,
guess
yeah, don't discount that passion because it can take you a long way, like you said. Um, so you mentioned a few minutes ago about the diversity and stuff like that. G.I. Joe is very known for its diversity. Going back to the original G.I. Joe, there was the African American commander, and then in A Real American Hero, they had, like you said, the 13 original G.I. Joes. There was an Asian, there was a
a
female, there
woman.
was Hispanic, there
Yep.
was, they were so far ahead of what we're talking about now when it comes to diversity. How did you incorporate that into the film?
Well, this film had this kind of same sketch, I try to be as accurate as I can to the old stuff with the lore that all the fans would see. We had a black gentleman who played Tyson Reesby, who played Roadblock. We have a gentleman who played Stalker as well. So we bring in Asian people who played Storm Shadow and stuff like that. Myself come in there as well. Scarlet, we bring in females from Scarlet the Baroness and such. So again, I like to bring more diversity, but I'm just going with whatever we have laid down on the 80s script as first for the character layout. So like we didn't add Jinx. I wish we had Jinx, but it just really didn't call for that yet. So
Well, you got to leave something for the next one. Don't
right,
put all your eggs in the same basket. You got a
right,
lot of
right, right.
characters. You could use Spirit in the next one, Jinx, Alpine, Doc. There's a lot of
Oh, there's a
opportunity.
lot. There's a lot. There's a lot. So we try to find as much as we can and just jam them in. Like I said, there could be another sequel, and we'll have even more than the first one. We'll see, you know, and it all depends how popular this film comes out. They're looking at numbers, so if it comes up pretty good, I might be in for a second film. So
Great. Well, I'm hoping that you come into Joe Fest. That's the largest premiere GI Joe event in the country.
Georgia, right?
Georgia, Augusta, Georgia, correct.
Yeah, right.
And so that is going to get you probably the most eyes that you can possibly get
Oh, I
on
can't
this.
wait for that. Yeah, I'll go to the panel, whatever, you know, you guys need me to do out there. If I need to get a booth, I'll get a booth. I don't care.
Well, that's cool. I look forward to it. I think it's going to be fun. I think the fans are going to love this. I want to support it as much as possible because from what I've heard, it's a love letter to the GI Joe community. It's a love letter to the fans of GI Joe of all eras of GI Joe, from what I understand.
Oh yeah, all eras. I mean, if you're in the comics, if you're in the cartoons, or just the action figures, it's all there for you. You know, like I said, it's based off the cartoon, but I got elements of each of those components in the film as well.
Is there anything else that you would like to add that I haven't asked? I tried to ask as much as I could.
Yeah, it's okay. I think when the June comes for the public, yeah, I'm trying to make it real special for when it comes out to everybody digitally. I have a band set up to make a live kind of like song for us for this film before we go dive into the footage. So that's being played right now. So like the date might change even earlier. It all depends on what we're trying to do here to give you guys a good experience for the film. Again, keep in mind, it is a fan film. So it's not like we have the Hollywood budget for it. I tried my best. It did cost quite a bit, but again, you know, a small guy like me is nothing compared to like Paramount or MGM and those guys. But I did my best for a fan film, and it shows all of our hard work, all of our passion into this film. So I can't wait for you guys to see it.
Well, Pierre, I really want to thank you for your passion and for spearheading this project because without people like yourself, this community would be a boring community. But thankfully, there's a lot of passionate folks in the GI Joe community that love this brand and wanted to succeed, wanted to be here for the next generation. And I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with me today. And I wish you all the best in your future endeavors. And I think this is going to be received very well in the future by Joe fans at Joe Fest. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Dave.
So folks out there, if you want to see more interviews like this, like, share, subscribe to this channel. And again, thank you to Pierre Doanetto and Yo Joe.
Yo.